Thank you for joining us today to the STEM Abroad Winter Options info session. We'll be discussing today a whole slew of different variety of programs that work for students across various STEM disciplines. My name is Callie Rouse. I am a Senior Study Abroad Advisor at CGIS, and I work specifically with our STEM students to help them find options that work for them. I also have a variety of programs in locations around Europe. So a lot of the programs we'll be looking at today are my programs, but we'll also be looking at other advisors programs, including Elise's.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elise. I'm one of the other study abroad advisors at CGIS. Of my programs, I tend to have a number of the public health and pre-health related ones, but I also have a big chunk of university study programs, which can be a good option for a number of STEM things. So we'll definitely hear about my programs as well today.
Yeah, so diving into the contents of this presentation. Students will be looking first, or will be looking first at programs by major. So going through the different major disciplines that we have represented. And then we will get into some additional notes at the end. But some quick notes to start. So programs that have an asterisk next to them are competitive, and we do recommend applying for a backup to that particular program just in case. And we'll talk about the competitiveness policy at the end. Programs that are listed on this page are not a be all end all. So if you're not seeing this in, the list of program or like a location or a particular topic area that you're like interested in, and you're like, okay, is there not options for me? It doesn't mean that there isn't something for you that we could find. It just means that these are kind of like the most popular options for different discipline areas. Programs that will cover multiple STEM majors will be listed under multidisciplinary programs. So I recommend that you check out both the section, like, if there's a dedicated section for your major, checking out that one, as well as checking out the later section on multidisciplinary programs. And then final note is that the magnifying glass icon is used to indicate programs with research opportunities on them. So if you're looking for that in particular, you'll see that icon. So, getting into the first section, I'm going to talk a little bit about our BCN Neuroscience Psychology and CogSci offerings. These are the list of them, but first off, we're going to get into a little bit about how do you go about, trying to do things in these majors abroad. BCN Psychology and CogSci to start with. So, very nicely, both the psychology and the cognitive science departments have pre-approval course lists and petition forms that students can use to request evaluations and also see what has been previously evaluated before. So these are the links to that. You can also find this on your by major pages. But for BCN and psychology, good things to note are that more locations are available for psychology than for BCN. And they are actually divvied up by those two different area groups in the by major page on our website. And courses that are listed as the upper level elective in the psych database can be applied as either 400 or 300 level credit as needed. And if you have any additional details that you have questions about based on looking at the information in the pre-approval list, you will want to meet with your major advisor for more details. For CogSci identifies courses as transferring as either a core course or as a elective on a specific track. It is recommended that you don't use both of your non like on track courses prior to going abroad, as those can be good to use abroad. And also note that CogSci has a scholarship for majors. Neuroscience. So, neuroscience is a little bit different because it's housed under the biology department. And so they don't have a formalized list of pre approvals. It works a little bit differently. So, requests for approval are reviewed on a case by case basis. Ideally, this happens prior to a program. Students should not wait until after they've started the program or after the program concludes to get information. And students should submit all requests to the study abroad evaluation form. That's also linked on the Neuroscience by Major page. Lab requirements cannot be used abroad, and requests for courses in Group B and C have the best chance for success. So these are kind of the things that are more psychology side of things than the biology side. So, with that information, let's go into some programs. So, first off is the Psychology and Sciences in Amsterdam program. So, this is in the Netherlands with our provider IES. Students will apply with us on Compass as well as through IES. Students must have completed 5 psychology courses at the university level to take the psych courses abroad. And it is recommended that students are taking between 15 to 17 credits on the program. Students are required to take one IES abroad course and up to 3, and then 2 to 4 of the courses will be taken at VU, a local Amsterdam university. Do be aware of potential prerequisites for VU courses, as those could prevent you from getting into certain courses. Students will live in shared student apartments arranged by IES, and the advisor for this program is Will. Note that the deadline is a little bit earlier for this program, so our final standard deadline is September 15, but this one's a bit early. It is on September 1st. Next up is Psychology and Neuroscience in Buenos Aires. So this one is in Argentina. It's with our provider, IFSA, and it allows our students will apply for IFSA on their portal as well as with Compass. Students earn between 15 to 16 credits. Students will take IFSA electives. These are required and 3 credits each, and these are taken in English. Students will do these in psychology, neuroscience, veterinarian medicine, business, economics, arts, and humanities, so a wide variety of coursework. And there is opportunities for directed research as well. And then optionally, students can take IFSA language courses. These do not count towards the LSA language requirement, however. And if you're a Spanish major or minor, students may only receive credit if you're placed into one of the advanced Spanish, like 1 or 2 courses. Students can either do a homestay or an apartment with this particular program. And then the advisor for this program is Juliana, our Spanish language programs advisor. And this is at the standard deadline of September 15. The next is mine, and a new program for us. So this is Psychology and Research in Madrid. This is in Spain and is with the University of Minnesota as well as our local partner FOM. Students will apply through Compass as well as through the University of Minnesota. And students will be given preference if they are a psychology, neuroscience, or BCN major, due to this being a capped program. Um, there is only spots for 25 students on this particular program, which is why it has that competitive asterisk on it. Students should expect to be taking between 12 to 18 credits on this program. All courses are taken at the Fundación Study Center, and students will choose between psychology classes, research internships, and additional electives. So this one has a variety of different research offerings, including in Spanish. Spanish language peer experience is recommended but not required to do this particular program. Housing will be in homestays, residence halls with locals, and apartments. As I said, I advise for this program, and this has an early deadline of August 15th. Next up is computer science. So, for computer science students, you can utilize the Michigan Engineering International Course Equivalency Database to search for pre-approved courses. For CSLSA students, you should be only using this for your CSE courses. Anything for like minor or distribution credit and LSA must go through the minor or general advisor. Do not use the above link for computer science in Prague program utilize the mCompass page instead. I'll be talking about that program in a second. But students are permitted to take one CSE 401X course via the expanded upper level CS requirement. However, this is a new requirement. The expanded upper level CS requirement is limited to only one. Any courses beyond this point would be contributing towards general electives. And CS students should consult with their CS advisor before committing to a program, as particularly with engineering, you want to be really sure that courses are going to be counting before going on a program. So the top program that we have for this particular discipline area is the Computer Science Tech Career Accelerator in Prague. So this is in Czechia with the partner IFSA. You'd apply on both mCompass and IFSA. We do have an FAQ for this program. But students are typically going to be taking between like 13 to 16 credits. And then students mandatorily are mandatory to take one check class, whether that be the one credit essential check, or you can opt into taking beginner check instead. And students will also need to take the augmented reality leadership development for the tech sector course, which is 3 credits and counts as HCS capstone. The EECS 497. This is a special element which makes this program so popular that students are able to get this capstone course as well as getting that expanded upper level CS requirement. Additional CS and non-CS courses are available. So students can also take some distribution requirements on this program as well. This also is a good option for CogSci computational track students to consider, as well as data science students. Housing is in apartments with other IFSA programs. I advise for this program, and the deadline is an earlier one on 9/1. Then we get to mathematics. So the math department adds any pre-approved coursework to their math course equivalency site. I will say it's a little bit of a tricky site to navigate, so you can always chat with me or your math advisor about it. But students should be searching by country or city under the advanced search option for best results. The program I'm going to be highlighting on the next slide, it should actually be, you should look under St. Olaf as the US partner instead of trying to search for it in Hungary because it's listed with like the organization that runs it out of the US, which is a little confusing. If a program is not listed or like courses are not listed, students can submit courses for evaluation through this site. And the program I'm going to talk about next, as well as university study programs, tend to be best suited for math majors. Center-based programs tend to have very minimal math offerings or very like introductory math offerings, whereas you're generally going to want something a little bit higher level. So the Mathematics in Budapest program, this one is in Hungary, and students will apply through both mCompass and BSM. It is a competitive program. Hungary is a very like well-known location for mathematics, and this is a prestigious mathematics program. Students must have completed a semester in real analysis or abstract algebra before doing this program for the semester. And students are typically taking 4 to 5 classes with the opportunity for directed research with a professor as well. Housing for this program are apartments, and I advise for this program, and this one has a standard deadline of 9/15.
Okay, so next we are going to be talking about pre-health, public health, and biology, health, and society majors. And we'll be featuring a number of programs that have some good offerings for that. So the first thing to know is that if you are a pre-health student, none of your pre-health requirements can be taken abroad. So we really encourage you to still consider study abroad for a number of reasons. You could do things for language acquisition, distribution credits, and a lot of experiential learning opportunities. And there's a lot of benefit that having a study abroad experience can promote certain skills and core competencies that pre-health or graduate programs like med school or PA school are looking for, because study abroad demonstrates a ton of these skills in a very tangible way. However, you cannot actually take like the pre-health classes. If you take them abroad, those med schools will not recognize them as having been completed. So just be cognizant of that and make sure you're planning your schedule around that on campus. For other health-related majors, gender and health students can get major requirements abroad as long as courses focus both on gender and health. So for those, you might need to do a review of the syllabus for the course that you're interested in taking in order to confirm that. And then other students in health-related majors should contact their department for information, just because you want to make sure that whatever courses you're taking will be applicable for certain degree requirements, and how those credits can come back into your overall program. So first, biology, health, and society, or just biology. So biology does not maintain a list of pre-approved programs. They tend to be pretty limiting on what they are willing to approve. And so it's done on a case-by-case basis. We strongly encourage you to do this before the program starts. Please note that no lab requirements can be completed abroad. There is a study abroad evaluation form where you can submit all your requests to have a course evaluated. For biology, health, and society majors, importantly, requests for courses within Group B of your major requirements do have the best chance of success for getting approved. So try to focus in on those if at all possible. And then again, our students who are just straight biology majors are encouraged to try to look for other opportunities within study abroad and focus less on your major, just because, again, it's very hard to get these things approved. So doing things for the experiential learning, language acquisition, distribution credits, those types of things will still allow you to move forward in your degree. But unfortunately, you won't be able to bring as much back for your major.
I will add that there is one exception to the above about lab requirements, and that we generally don't recommend biology students go abroad for their major unless they're in BHS, and that will be the University of Warsaw program that we'll be talking about in a few minutes.
So the first program we want to talk about is one of mine. So this is the Global Health and Development Policy in Switzerland program. This one is done through the Provider School for International Training, just known as SIT. So you'll apply both in MCompass and SIT's portal. And for the fall semester, you take 16 total credits. There are really not options for you to select different classes. It's a very preset curriculum. So you'll take these different courses, one of which is a French language course. It's okay if you have zero experience in French. All SIT programs require students to take a local language in order to have a more immersive experience, but you do not have to have any familiarity. Also, please note that if you do have familiarity with the French language, so if you're uh, a major or minor, this course cannot be used towards any of those requirements. Just in general, the Romance Language Department will not approve this towards any requirements for those degrees. Um, the program is really interesting because it has an independent study project where you spend basically the entire final month of the program dedicated to this particular project. You get to deep dive into a topic of your choice that is of interest to you. And by the end of the program, you have a pretty substantial research paper and presentation that you can add to your resume. So it's pretty great. Also, just so you're aware, there is a condensed version of this program for the summer in case winter doesn't work out for you. The housing is a homestay, and then there's some excursion housing as well, because as there's an excursion that takes place in the middle of it, and the deadline to apply is September 1st. Next is another one of mine and another SIT program. So this is Health and Community. This is our only program that is considered a multi-country program. It is the entire program is designated as being across multiple countries. So you are constantly every several weeks switching to a new place. The route does can change, but it's been pretty consistent the last few years. And for this upcoming winter, will be designated as starting in DC, so Washington, DC in the US, getting students sort of a baseline understanding of US healthcare systems. And then after about a week and a half, you will go to Delhi, India, and spend a little over a month there. And then go to Cape Town, South Africa, a little over a month there, and then finally wrap up the program in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So as I mentioned, this is another SIT program. You'll apply both in mCompass and through SIT's portal. And again, this program has a very preset curriculum. There's not a lot of flexibility with your courses. So you'll be taking 16 credits total across these four courses. But the really cool thing about it, just, it doesn't have a lot of flexibility for your course selection, but you do get the opportunity to compare healthcare, health systems, how health is thought about across four countries and four continents. So it's a really unique opportunity. Housing is going to be a mix of things depending on where you're at along the program route, but that's all coordinated for you, so you don't have to worry about it. And the deadline to apply for this one is also a little early on September 1st. The next one is Humanities and Social Sciences in Sorrento. So this one is in Sorrento, Italy, done through the provider, the Santa Ana Institute. For this one, you will be earning between 12 and 15 credits. There is one required Italian language course, but my understanding is it's similar to what I mentioned before, where you don't have to have any familiarity with Italian. It's just a part of the immersive experience. And so you'll test into whatever level you're at. The program has options for courses focused on health sciences and different natural sciences, and also has an honors semester research program option available. The housing is going to be a choice between dorms, shared apartments, or homestays, and the advisor for this program is our colleague Joy. The deadline to apply for it is going to be September 1st. And then this is Callie's program, so she's going to go ahead and talk about it.
Yes. So I actually just visited this program as well. So this is the University of Warsaw in Poland, and we aren't pulling out particular university study programs just because there's so many in other cases, but this particular program we are highlighting due to its unique offerings for biology students. So students would apply through mCompass and then later be nominated to the University of Warsaw. Students can earn between 12 to 15 credits on the program. And the course of offerings available are that there are approved courses in both biology and neuroscience. And students can take classes for core biology classes and lab credit. This is unlike any of our other programs in which students are expressly told not to try to take classes in these areas. This was championed by the professor Andrzej Wierzbicki, and his email is included here. He has the most information on pre-approved courses and things of that nature, and he is one of the biology faculty. It has also a plethora of psychology options, as well as availability for coursework in the social sciences and humanities and so on. I also wanted to emphasize that this is an extremely affordable program. Students are paying basically like the European rate to go on the program, and so it is much cheaper than a lot of our other programs. And Poland and Warsaw in general is a very affordable place to live in Europe. Housing, students will have to secure their own housing for this particular program. And I advise for this program, and this one has a standard deadline of September 15. And then I'm going to tackle our additional majors. So for chemistry, they do not utilize a special policy or like special database for international programs. Instead, they actually use the transfer credit equivalency database, which we would generally caution students not to utilize for CGIS study abroad. But in this case, you would want to use that to look up courses that have been pre-approved for chem credit. If you cannot find it, you can go in and petition. That information is linked at the policy of like how you would go about petitioning chemistry classes. Some courses are restricted to only, so you'd have to see like what options are available for you. In physics, students wishing petition courses should bring the syllabi and course information to a physics faculty advisor, and they will be able to determine course eligibility. And for statistics and data science, similar to chemistry, they use same policy abroad as they do for domestic transfer. And so students should look for the transfer credit equivalency database for pre-approved courses, and if you can't find it, you can petition. And a pre-approval list may be coming forward in the future, but for now, this is what you would need to use. And for data science students, we often recommend students look at offerings that are preferred for computer science students and see if those might not work for DS as well. Then we're going to get into multidisciplinary programs. First off, handing it back off to Elise.
Yes, so this one is one of mine. So this is the Computer Science, Psychology, and Humanities in London program. It is done by the provider IFSA, and it's actually similar in a number of ways to the Tech Accelerator program in Prague that Cali has. Very similar classes are taught. So if you are a computer science major, you have the opportunity to get one of your expanded upper level computer science electives. And unfortunately, this one does not have that capstone piece, but it does offer a little bit broader variety of additional subject areas that you can complete as well. So you'll earn 12 to 17 credits, and you are taught by IFSA faculty in their downtown London educational center. There's a wide range of topics, including health science, computer science, psychology, a number of other humanities things like history. And the other cool component is there is the opportunity for directed research. So you can create your own research project and work with a faculty member, and basically you're replacing one of the classes with that research opportunity. So you could have a really cool thing to add to your portfolio as well by the end of that. The housing is furnished flats in downtown London. They're very nice. I've been there myself. Typically, they're going to be single bedrooms that have shared common spaces with like the kitchen, study spaces, living room. They even have game rooms and really nice like media centers within them. So anyway, this is one of my programs. The deadline to apply is September 15th. And I do just want to mention this is one of our more affordable options within the London area. And then, so this program is the International Development and French Language in Dakar. So it's in Senegal. This is the another program that's done through the provider of the University of Minnesota. They're working in conjunction with another provider on the ground, and they have the opportunity to earn 16 credits on this program. Please note all instruction is in French, so you have to have taken at least French 232 in order to apply. And honestly, you might want to have taken even more than that, just because, again, all of the instruction for your courses is in French. You would be spending the first 7 weeks taking courses. on Senegal's history and the French language. And then you also take a core course in either health, entrepreneurship, human rights, or sustainability. This last 6 weeks, you're focusing either on an internship or a research placement. So, again, a really unique opportunity there. The housing is homestays with local families, and the advisor for this program is Will. If you're interested in applying, the deadline is going to be September 15th. And
And
back to Callie.
yes, absolutely. So this is the Study in Scandinavia program. Notably, this is a mirror program, so it's offered in both Sweden and Denmark, though you would need to pick one of the two locations. With the DIS Study in Scandinavia partner, students would apply with both MCompass and on DIS's website. This one is extremely popular with our STEM students in particular because it has a lot of a variety of course electives and covers a large amount of discipline areas. So students choose a core class from multiple tracks, including like the ones listed here, and they travel with this core class to another location in Europe. And then students choose a variety of elective classes that don't have to have anything to do with their core at all. And the different electives, I would recommend students look at both Sweden and Denmark because the course offerings from one location to the other do differ slightly. And then students may also choose to enroll in a 3 credit practicum in various fields, which are similar in structure to internships. Um, and there is opportunity for directed or independent research. However, I will note that it is competitive and students should be prepared to just take coursework in the case that they were not able to get into the directed research. And if directed research is particularly important to you, I would look at a different program. Subject areas that are offered in this particular one include biology, cognitive science, computer science, psychology, BCN, neuroscience, public health, and pre-health. And there are 3 different housing types that students can do: homestay, living and learning communities, or collegium or student boende, which is like mixed apartments with DIS and local students. I advise for this program, and this one has 2 deadlines: the early deadline and the one I strongly recommend students apply to for the best chance to get into the program is August 1st, and then the final deadline is September 1st.
So I'm the advisor for nearly all of our UK programs. And so I'm just going to give a quick, brief overview. The vast majority of UK programs are university study, which means that you are taking classes through that partner university. We have options both in London and outside of London. And some are competitive, some are not competitive. So the 2 competitive programs for the winter cycle are King's College London and University College London. Both of these have a early deadline of August 15th. The King's College London program does also have an exchange option. So that means that we have an institutional agreement with that university that says we will take X number of your students if you take Y number of our students. And so that means that you are paying your home institution's tuition despite taking classes at the host institution. Now, you don't have to go as exchange, but that is an option for that one. And then please note that both the King's College London and the University College London program do have some course and department restrictions. So please make sure you're checking carefully on the academics tab in the mCompass brochure pages for both programs to make sure that this is the right fit for you. Um, some other UK program offerings, Queen Mary University of London and the University of Westminster. Those are both also in London. They are non-competitive. They offer a variety of subject areas, and both programs also have the opportunity to do an internship. So you substitute one of the classes with an internship seminar, and then you're doing an internship for up to about 20 hours a week. The University of St. Andrews is in Scotland, so it is one of our other UK offerings, not in London. The There's a wide variety of subjects in the STEM fields that are good for this program. Also, there is the potential for a directed research opportunity. So you can take a look at that. Basically, students join projects that are pre-existing. And so there can be unique opportunities potentially within that area as well. And then finally, the University of Sussex. So this is a program that is in Brighton, England, which is about an hour south of London. A wide variety of subject areas and a particularly affordable program. Um, the application deadline for all of the non-competitive UK programs is September 15th. And if you want to scan that QR code in the top right corner, that takes you to a comparison chart so that you can see more details about all the different UK offerings.
And I'll talk a little bit about our university study offerings outside of the UK. So first off, we have the Universidad Carlos III of Madrid. This program is good for computer science, math, and physics. I do want to emphasize specifically that students often are looking for programs that have like psychology, neuroscience, and the other those kind of sciences offerings in Spain, and it's really only our Psychology and Research Madrid one that has strong offerings in that realm. Otherwise, Universidad Carlos III de Madrid is good for like CS and math. The University College Dublin in Ireland is another good one with a couple of discipline areas. University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia, and the University of Melbourne. Um, in Australia are also opportunities where there's a couple of different discipline areas. I want to highlight in particular the University of Melbourne, which has that option for students to do exchange, where you can pay your UM tuition. So this is something that's a good fit for in-state students, but you can do exchange or paying on that particular program. And then finally, we have the university, or Yonsei University in Seoul, South Korea. This is the only competitive one on this particular list. It covers a variety of areas, but because it is an exchange-only option, students do have to be prepared to pay their tuition here at UM to pay for the program. And because of the limited nature of those spots, that's what makes it competitive. And all of these ones have application deadlines of 9/15, except for Universidad Carlos III, which is earlier.
Okay. So we also just wanted to cover some important additional topics like course approvals, multiple application policy, financial aid and scholarships, and how to navigate through our website and the advising's website as well. So for course approvals, as we've mentioned before, you need to get pre-approval for courses going abroad. We really encourage students to start the conversations early with your academic advisors. Um, you don't have to have them completed, the pre-approvals like completed by a particular date, but we want to make sure that you are getting the courses on the program that you need to take. So making sure that they work for you is important. For LSA students, you will automatically receive in-residence credit on your transcript for whatever courses you take on CGIS programs. And so that will show up on your transcript the same as if you took that class here in Ann Arbor. It will have a letter grade that will go towards your GPA. You do have the option to take courses pass-fail, and we have a process for how to elect to do that. But please note, we do follow LSA pass-fail policy, so you cannot pass-fail any classes in your major or minor departments. For major or minor classes, again, we really recommend that you work with your major or minor academic advisors to make sure that everything is set and that those things will get fulfilled. And distribution classes, if you're trying to apply any courses towards distribution, you'll consult with your general academic advisor, whether that is like the folks over at Noonan for LSA students, or CSP or RC or honors. Again, in general, it's just we want to clarify that CGIS advisors are not considered academic advisors. We do not have the authority to be able to make determinations about what can and cannot count for a particular requirement. And we also cannot make determinations about like what level a course will come in as, whether that's a 300 or a 400 level. That is all your academic advisors. So as you narrow down your choices, you may want to find some historic syllabi that you can use to help your advisors make those evaluations. And we encourage you to set up appointments with them if you have any questions. The next thing we wanted to clarify is our multiple application policy. So per application cycle, so fall, winter, CGIS, you can apply to a maximum of two CGIS programs, but that is only if your first choice is a competitive program. So if your first choice is competitive, then you're allowed to apply to a backup option, so a non-competitive program. However, you cannot apply to more than one competitive program, and you cannot apply to more than one non-competitive program. If your first choice program is non-competitive, that's fine. It doesn't mean it's a lesser quality program or anything. It just means that historically there has been a very high chance of our students getting in as long as they've met the minimum eligibility criteria, because there tends to be a lot of space available on those programs. So if it's your first choice, that will be the only one that you apply for. If you try to apply for any others, we will not review them. We will only review your first choice. Please also note that there are some countries that cannot be used as a backup option, like Spain, and there are different timelines for different academic cultures. So, uh, if you are applying to a competitive program and a backup that's in a different country, be aware those might be moving on different timelines, and or it could be because of visa processes, like for the reason you can't use Spain as a backup. So just consult with your CGIS advisors if you have any specific questions. So next is financial aid and scholarships. So we highly encourage you to reach out to the Office of Financial Aid Study Abroad team if you have any questions about how your financial aid can be applied to CGIS programs. Please note that there is a separate email for the study abroad team within their office, and we encourage you to use that one, as the main OFA inbox will just have to get directed to them anyway if you send your email there. Also, the Office of Financial Aid has a study abroad estimate worksheet tool where students can input the costs, the anticipated costs of programs into a PDF and then send that over to the study abroad team, and they will get back to you with what your anticipated aid would be for things like grants, scholarships, loans. So it can help give you an idea of what you're looking at budget-wise for different programs. The other thing to know is just that we at CGIS do not have access to students' financial information, so we can give broad, overarching explanations about some of the processes or how it typically goes, but we cannot look at your particular information, and so we can't provide very specific answers if you have questions about your situation. For the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship, which is the main scholarship for our program, it is a needs-based scholarship, so it's going to be based on your particular financial circumstances as well as the overall cost of attendance for the program that you're looking at. If you have any questions about the eligibility, you can check it out on the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship webpage. And the applications for winter programs for that has already opened. It will close on September 22nd. They are absolutely not going to accept late applications. So make sure that you are getting that done around the same time that you are completing your uh, study abroad application, or even earlier. You do not have to be accepted into your program in order to apply for this. If you have any questions, please email LSA Scholarships. And then feel free to check out our additional scholarship opportunities. We have a big spreadsheet that is linked on our financial aid and scholarships page on our website that explores all the different scholarship options that we are currently aware of that are related to study abroad and international experiences. So feel free to take a look through that, see which ones you might be eligible for, and get applying. Just to sort of, again, clarify as you move towards figuring out what programs might be the best fit for you and how the whole study abroad process will play out, we wanted to give you sort of the general timeline if you were applying for a winter 2027 program. So this past month in March, the programs launched, opening up for applications in mCompass. We recently, last week, had our winter advising fair with students, and then you are also still welcome and encouraged to meet with us if you have any questions and want to discuss different program options and which ones might be the best fit for you. We also encourage you to meet with your major and minor advisors to figure out what the requirements are for those degrees and how you can best fulfill those with different programs abroad. You'll also be wanting to potentially start your applications in mCompass, also prepping for letters of recommendation. So some programs do require a letter of recommendation, and you want to make sure that you are giving your instructors plenty of time to get those done. And it can definitely be a good idea to ask them about it prior to the end of the school year and them being away from campus potentially for the summer. Then May through July, you can continue to meet with us. We have advising appointments all summer long, and so we're happy to chat with you as you're doing more research. We'll also have info sessions going on over the summer to go into a bit more detail about different program offerings. So check those out. And then you'll continue to work on completing your applications and researching financial aid and other scholarships. And then August 1st through September 15th are when applications are actually starting to be due. So please make sure that you are confirming what the deadline is for the program you are looking at applying for on mCompass. Do not assume what the deadline is, as a number of them have different deadlines for a variety of reasons. And then make sure that you are being aware of ones that are competitive or have complex visa processes. We do not typically do our application review until the deadline has passed. So if you get your application done, in April, that's great. If you literally don't get it done until the day of the deadline, that's also fine. You'll also want to make sure that you're applying for scholarships like the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship. And then after that, we will have reviewed applications, made decisions about nominations, and you'll want to continue to work with the Office of Financial Aid and your different academic advisors as you find out about your acceptance to programs and start committing to things. And then we also just wanted to mention our website. So the CGIS website is, we've indicated there's a number of resources there throughout this presentation. I just want to emphasize again, there is so much info here. So please deep dive, read through all the different program offerings, the different resource options, different health and safety guidelines, all of those things. There's also a lot of videos that are going to be linked on the website that can be super informative as well. One thing we wanted to point out in particular is our advising page. So if you go to student resources and then advising, there is a page that'll pop up that has info about a number of things, FAQs for particular programs, group advising that's coming up, etc. And if you scroll down to the bottom there, you will see the advisor portfolios. So you can see which advisor has which programs. That way you know who to reach out to if you have any particular questions about a specific program. And that is everything we have for today. Thanks so much for joining us. Let us know if you have any questions and feel free to reach out.